All right, Johnny, how are you today?
Yeah, good, Stu. I'm good. How are you?
What's going on?
Not too much, just working away. It's a bit noisy through the days because they're doing works on the road near where I live,
Yeah,
so I hear a lot of digging, a lot of drilling.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
hey,
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
seems
it's
like wherever you go, there's works.
yeah, it's normally a time of the year when they do it. They wait until everybody goes back to work and into their routine, so the schools go back, end of the holidays, and then they decide to do the roadworks. It's quite well planned. Instead of
Yeah,
doing it in
indeed.
August when the city's empty, they say it's probably better to do it at the end of October, November, around that period when everybody's getting back into their lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of blows my mind is they resurfaced the road several months ago, and now they're digging it back up again. So
What are they putting in some cables or something or?
it looks like they were maybe doing something with the drainage,
No.
from what I've seen. But yeah,
So they might have mucked it up the first time.
perhaps I don't know.
Who
But
knows?
yeah,
All
better
right, good.
disturb it
What's
through
on
the
the
day to
agenda,
deal with.
Johnny?
Yeah, so let's start off with the recovery of what's known in Spanish as the Gran Consumo. So
Gran
like
consumo. Okay.
yeah, so we're referring to sales, the big days like Black Friday, Christmas,
Yeah.
that period, this period of the year,
Yeah.
where there's obviously a lot more sales in the retail sector, in electronics, and
Yeah.
all the other sectors
Yeah.
that can be considered as gifts for people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The retailers want you to part with your cash, basically, right? And these days that we're talking about, the ones you just mentioned there, the Black Friday, I think Cyber Monday is one as well. Maybe I
yeah,
think so.
that'll be one as well. Yeah,
They've really taken off in Spain.
they have indeed. Yeah, it's obviously originated in the Anglophone countries such as the US and the UK, but yeah, it's really picked up over the past couple of years. It
Mm.
seems maybe five years ago it wasn't as popular as it is today.
Yeah, yeah, it's become popular. I remember probably that's the right time frame. Yeah, about 5 years ago, it sort of started to creep in, and because a lot of those big retailers are here and they jump on board. Not necessarily the Corte Inglés, which has its own days. Traditionally, had its ocho dias de oro or whatever they used to call it, and now these American, I think they originated in America, the Black Friday and all of these things, then probably picked up in the UK. But because I think it's all around the Thanksgiving time in in the States, is it? I think the
Yeah, I think it's the Friday after Thanksgiving. So the day
yeah.
after Thanksgiving is
Okay.
when Black Friday falls.
Yeah, yeah. So here it's not really a traditional day, but of course because all of the big retailers are here, they've really jumped on board and tried to get people to buy their Christmas presents, basically.
Yeah, and a key figure in the sector, he's called Ignacio Gonzalez.
Mm.
He's part of the AECOC. I guess it's the Association for
Consumer Association.
exactly. Yeah. He recognizes and kind of professes the sector's importance in the economic recovery because this sector's obviously been hit by the pandemic.
Mm.
Um, Sales have slowed down, but with all the savings that households have saved up, he's expecting that some of it will be used during this period, and that will help with the economic recovery.
Okay, good, 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 good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I suppose that sector does need it. Those retailers were probably hit like everybody else when nobody could visit the stores, had to go online. I suppose for a lot of the things that they was trying to sell, and I think there was a big online surge last year when people couldn't physically go to these places to buy, but they seem to be recovering. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll come back round to that about the online sales. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why he's optimistic about the recovery is because,
Mm.
as you say, spending this year has started to pick up. Spending in the summer increased. I think petrol stations and service stations have also seen an increase in sales.
Well,
So
they've definitely seen an increase in profits with the price they're charging.
yeah, I don't drive, so I struggle to relate to the price of petrol sometimes. I
Yeah.
just every time I hear about it, it's more expensive than
Well,
it
you
was
never
last
know,
time.
Johnny. One day you might need a car.
Yeah, yeah, maybe, maybe we'll see.
You never know. You never
Don't
know.
know. Yeah, but yeah,
That's it. Yeah. Sorry, I was just going to say that it's a good time of the year also, not only to buy Christmas presents, but also for people that maybe are, going to rent a house for the first time. They need furniture. They can pick up a bargain. new television set, computer, all of those things which become quite cheap. And as I said, the big brands do push these things, the media markets, and can't think of any of the other big brands.
Maybe
One
Fnac.
called Wharton,
Yeah.
FNAC, was it?
Yeah, Fnac is more electronics, but I think they do have some furniture as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
With a bit of luck, there'll be a few discounts at the pet store.
Yeah, maybe. We'll keep our eyes open.
Yeah, a few Black Friday discounts at the pet outlet. Might pick up a new bed for the dog.
Yeah.
All right, cool. What's next, Johnny?
Yeah, so let's move on to the next topic, which is somewhat closely related, which is small business sales. So, throughout the first 8 months of the year, small business sales have actually increased 5% on the same period of time last year, related to the pandemic, of course, because people have. I think you maybe get people in one or two camps. You get people who maybe tend to buy more online because of the convenience, but then you get people who are maybe more conscious and try and actively support the local businesses and smaller businesses. So small businesses have seen a boost from people who've joined their cause and supported it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what are you? Are you more of an online guy, or you like to support your local businesses?
I'm a bit of both. I'm not
Bit of both.
gonna lie. Yeah, so there's some things I'll maybe get online, depending on the urgency or the price, maybe. But if I find an opportunity to support a small business,
Yeah.
it's mainly restaurants are the ones that I try to support. I'll try and go for local restaurants. But yeah, I understand both sides of the argument.
Yeah,
Anyways.
yeah, yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. Obviously, they are struggling against the giants in the sector, the Amazons, and those businesses like that, which have also taken Spain by storm.
Yeah, well, it is difficult, particularly the way Amazon's business model is set up. It's very competitive in terms of delivery, in terms of the
Oh,
prices
you
that they
can't.
offer for products.
I
Yeah.
don't think you can compete with it online. I don't know.
I, I would probably tend to agree. It's very, very difficult to operate such a sustainable model like that if you're not Amazon.
Yeah, well, I think just because they work 7 days a week now in Madrid, and I don't know other businesses that are willing to do that. I see delivery vans dropping things off on a Sunday morning, which before you wouldn't see.
Yeah, I've seen Prime vans going around on a Sunday as well. But yeah, it just gives you an idea of like the scale of the operations
Yeah,
is
yeah,
massive. Um,
yeah.
so yeah.
And I think the idea that, I mean, I could be wrong, as I sometimes am or normally am, is that Amazon wants to get those retailers on board their platform, right? So if you are a retailer selling beds, or you're selling linen, or whatever you're selling, I think the idea that Amazon wants is for you to use their marketplace.
Yeah, because if you look at when you buy a product on Amazon, sometimes you'll see it's maybe an Amazon Basics, which is from their own
Yeah.
range of stock, but you can also see if the seller is someone else, if it's a smaller business. And yeah, so it's maybe a solution to somewhat resolve this dominance in the marketplace, is giving smaller players an opportunity
Yeah,
to come on the
yeah, yeah,
platform.
yeah, yeah. But again, according to what the conditions would be, if you're going through Amazon, they might take a fairly big cut.
Yeah, and I don't think you have the same flexibility around delivery times as well. I think when you get Amazon Basics, you got a lot more delivery options.
Okay,
In terms of
you do
timing.
you? Okay.
Yeah. I think so, from my experience at least.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
what
Yeah,
I've
because
tended to
obviously they're
notice.
coming from their warehouse,
Yeah.
rather than from somewhere else. That's it. So that's probably the key. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought you said when you sent me the message today that sales were declining. Is that
Yeah, so I mean they've been on the increase the first 8 months, but
okay?
August is the first time they've kind of slowed down, and it's
Okay.
it's a small decrease. It's about 0.1%, but it's the first real decrease in small business sales for this year.
Okay, but is that due to the summer holidays? Or?
I would maybe say so, because in the article I also broke it down by autonomous community as to see which communities have seen the biggest hit. And the two main ones are the Basque Country and Asturias.
The biggest hit.
Yeah, so the biggest hit. And then on the other end of the scale, you've got Balearic Islands, which have actually seen an increase in small business sales. So I think the holiday argument probably does come into that somewhat.
Well, I would say so. If the Balearics are strong in August, because that's when they're at peak capacity normally.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. And as we said, people have got money in their pockets. They are looking to buy things. And if you are in Palma de Mallorca walking around the streets and you see something that you like, you buy it.
Yeah, and it's probably quite a high probability that that's a small business that you're buying from as well.
That's it. That's it. Because a lot of people in the streets were doing the typical tourism. That's it. You're walking
Yeah.
around the streets looking for things to do. Something catches your eye.
Yeah.
All right, good. What's next?
All right, and next on the agenda we have in the next labour reform, they're looking to introduce a quota of kind of a maximum quota of temporary workforce within companies. So the idea that I think it's Podemos which is behind this, I'll try to put forward is by March of every year, companies need to have their temporary workforce quota at no more than 15%.
Okay, because at the moment, what is it?
It hasn't mentioned a quota right now, but the idea, of course, we've talked about it in the past, is that temporary contracts are sometimes prolongated, and workers can never find any stability because of that, the ones who are affected. And the idea is to reduce this abuse of temporary contracts that sometimes exists and try and provide more stability in the labour market.
Yeah, I understand that it probably would be Podemos behind it because the Labour Minister is the Podemos leader, is she? Or maybe she thinks she's a vice president or something.
She's the second vice president, yeah, Yolanda
Second
Diaz.
vice president, yeah. So obviously her ministry's behind this, and it has been a talking point, as we said, and as you said, we have spoken about it before, that people go from temporary contract to temporary contract and never get that stability. But would that not push some companies to use temp companies more if they want to get around it? How would that work?
So when you say temp companies, do you
Like the
mean temporary
Randstads,
employment agencies? Yeah. So there was also a point about this in the article, and from what I understood, it said companies can make use of these temporary employment agencies, but the worker who's part of the agency would have to be hired indefinido, so permanently for the temp agency.
Okay, all right, good. So they're trying to stamp this out.
Yeah, because I read as well. I think it was the president of ADECO, which is another employment agency that came up with this proposition as well.
Oh, okay, all right, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, as I said, it has been a problem for a while, and a long problem which no government's been able to fix, I don't think. So if this is the government to do it, but again, the skeptic in me says, well, there always seems to be a loophole that people work around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I've seen some criticism of it online as well, and the primary criticism is that it reduces the flexibility in the labour market and could potentially take away employment opportunities as a result.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I suppose we'll see how this plays out in the long term if it comes into play. I think it's just a draft at this point. It's not actually an actual reform.
Do you know anybody personally that's been on a temporary contract situation for a while?
I do. One of a close friend of mine that lives here. He's been in that situation. Fortunately, he's now found a stable, permanent role. But
Okay. In the same company?
No, in a different company. But yeah, he has had. He did have his temporary contract renewed quite a few times.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I said, a lot of people have found themselves in that situation, and the objective would be to try to get rid of that two-tier labour system where the smaller percentage of people have very good watertight contracts, and the rest are sort of fighting it out down the bottom on the temporary contract. So, if they can sort it out, great. But again, what's it going to mean to the employers? Is it going to be, as you said, it's not going to be an incentive to hire people? Or I don't know. You have to take these things into account. I mean, fantastic to have the ideas, but if they do affect companies from hiring.
We'll see. Because from my understanding of the UK, temporary positions do exist, but they're they seem to be a lot fewer. There seems to be a lot fewer temporary positions. The majority of employment opportunities that come up are permanent roles.
Yeah, but I think it's got something to do with how easy it is to fire somebody. So I'd probably say that in the UK it's easier to fire somebody than here when it comes to the compensation that you have to fork out. You know what I mean?
Perhaps, yeah.
So
Maybe.
you've been working in a company now for how long, Johnny?
Maybe about 2 years I've been.
2 years. All right, good.
Yeah.
But you've probably heard conversations where people say, "Oh, if I get fired, I get this amount of money." Have you heard those conversations?
I've somewhat of an understanding of what it would mean if people get fired
That's
or were
right.
to be
So,
laid
so,
off, yeah.
so, so the longer you're working in a company, that the more difficult it becomes to fire somebody. Whereas I think in more in freer labour markets, that's not the case.
Yeah, it's a good point. When I compare the likes of the UK to Spain and France, then workers' rights seem to be a lot more protected in Spain and France than they maybe are in the UK.
And I think that's
But
where
like
that
you said, yeah,
flexibility comes from that you don't get here. See?
yeah, that's yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So when people do get a good job, so let's say, I mean, I think we did the calculations once, or we put up there is a calculator that you can say, so I've been working in this company for 10 years on this amount of money. If I get fired, how much is the company going to pay me? And in some cases, it's a year's salary, maybe
Yeah,
30,000 euros. It's a lot of money for a small business, especially to have to pay out.
that's true. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know about the banks or the big companies. Perhaps it's easier for them to do, obviously. But if you're a small business owner, and you do take somebody on and to fire them for whatever reason, it can be a costly experience.
Yeah, I suppose it can be. Yeah, and like you say, a small or medium-sized company would be probably hit harder from that financial impact than a bigger company.
Yeah, I don't know. But it is one of the things that make the market here what it is when it comes to getting a job. Yeah, but
Yeah,
what can we do?
yeah, yeah. We'll
All
see how
right,
this
good.
plays out, though. Yeah.
Anything else, Johnny?
No, that was all for today.
All right, great. Good speaking to you again, and we'll be in contact for next week.
Have a good week, Stu. I'll
All
see you
right, have a
later.
good one. See you later.
Bye bye.